more than, with the memorial visits, more than pay his respects, will there be a major speech on, marking the 20th anniversary?
Well, we're still working out the speech. I would expect you will hear from him in some capacity about 9/11, of course. I was just speaking with him about his memories of that day, as I know many of us have memories of that day, and he's talked about this in the past. He, of course, was on his way to his job in the Senate when he got a call from Dr. Biden, his wife, and we all remember distinctly that day and how much it's impacted us and has impacted us for the last several decades. That's true for him as well. The events as they're designed on the day, as you know, but for others, are such that he felt it was important to visit each of the three places to mark the lives that were lost, the sacrifices on that day. That doesn't allow for, because of some of these events, remarks on that day, but I expect you will hear from him in some capacity.
And the president was just now asked if he will meet with Afghan refugees at some point, and he said, yes, I will be seeing them at some point. I mean, is there any detail that you can give us? Which part of the country is he planning to meet them?
He also said that they're all over the country right now, and I would remind you that they've only come to the country over the last couple of weeks. So yes, he certainly looks forward to at some point, but that is not planned in this particular moment. They're all coming to the United States, some of them for the first time, and we're going to let them adjust with their families.
Did Senator Joe Manchin give the White House a heads up that he was going to be publishing that op-ed on the reconciliation price tag?
Not that I'm aware of, Caitlin. I will say we're in touch with him quite regularly. We consider him an important partner to the president's agenda. I'd also note that the president agrees that these plants need to be paid for, and they would be, by asking corporations and the wealthiest Americans to pay more. The president also agrees we should take inflation seriously, and many outside economists will tell you that these plans will do exactly that. They'll lower costs for goods for the American people over the long term. So some of the points that were made in that op-ed are consistent with what our views are and why we're pushing for this agenda.
Does it need a hostage
situation? Sorry, one follow on that. Has he spoken to Senator Manchin since that op-ed came out?
I don't have any calls to preview for you. I would just tell you that we're all, from senior levels of the White House, in close touch with a range of members, including Senator Manchin and his team.
Is it a hostage situation, what's happening right now with those airplanes?
If I had $1 for every time this was called dead, it's about once every few weeks. I wouldn't be that rich, but I could buy you a nice cup of coffee.
Sorry. I meant the planes in Afghanistan.
Oh, I thought you were talking about, so that's an important thing. I thought you were talking about the Build Back Better agenda. No, that is not what we would characterize it as. Those were points, those were comments made by a Republican congressman this weekend. So let me be very clear. We're in touch with American citizens. We're working to get them out. There are 4 who were able to depart over land. Our Secretary of State is in Qatar right now working on a range of options, including getting flights up and operational and going. And what we have seen is that individuals who have documentation are able to depart, or that is what we have seen. But again, we don't have a great deal of understanding of every individual on these manifests.
On going back to Manchin and the infrastructure bill, should Americans expect that this bill gets a haircut, or at least a trim?
In what way?
That it's not going to be a $3.5 trillion bill by the time it's done?
Well, Americans should expect there are going to be a range of negotiations and ups and downs, and it's going to be called dead several more times over the next couple of weeks. We fully expect that. What the president's most focused on are both steps he has proposed to lower costs for the American people, but also ensuring that corporations and wealthy individuals are asked to pay more. Both are important to him, and we'll see how the negotiations pan out.
The president's kind of climate change agendas in that reconciliation bill, with Joe Manchin saying he wants it to be lower, is President Biden saying that he thinking of that as in, I want to make sure that money stays in there, that the climate money stays untouched? That lowers when the negotiations start.
The president will talk today about how his agenda, as we go visit a community that's been hit by two communities, extreme weather events, how important it is to invest in our climate. In terms of the specifics and the numbers, obviously there's going to be negotiations and discussions, but clearly his climate agenda, addressing the climate crisis, is central to his proposals. I may go sit down now since we're about to land. Okay.